run in here and give me a hard time. A second.
Okay.
Okay, that's better.
Okay,
Nice.
good. So yeah, I'm just working on a local story today about stage 2 and many people anxious for stage 3. We don't know too much at this point, but I know that you spoke to Leslie Roberts the other day, so just kind of wanted to chat with you. Firstly, how do you think we're doing in Ottawa right now with COVID and everything related?
Oh, Ottawa is one of the better places considering the largeness of the city. Well, as far as cities in Ontario go, it's not a huge city, but it's a city. So Vera Etch has done a fantastic job. The citizens of Ottawa have, in large part, been cooperative, and I think that's a big part of the strategy going forward. I've been saying for a long time that the job of the doctors is over, the job of the epidemiologists is mostly over. From this point on, it's entirely in the hands of the citizens to do the right thing. And so far, Ottawans have been largely responsible as compared to, say, downtown Toronto, where some irresponsible behavior has been happening. So we're doing pretty well in Ottawa. I think we're in single digits per day, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we're doing well here.
What are some things that you had mentioned that let's not jump the gun just yet and rush into stage 3 just because we're all anxious for that? Do you still feel the same?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, remember, we can't go to stage 3 until the state of emergency is lifted, and that is lifted in July 15th. So we have a couple of weeks to work on it. And what's to be gained from rushing to stage 3 except a little bit more economic activity, which is not a bad thing, but what's to be lost? A lot, right? So the return on investment for rushing is not very high and the risk is quite high. So there's everything to be gained from going slowly and a lot to lose from going quickly. Now, can we go backwards if we open up too fast? That's yet to be seen. Some parts of the world have attempted this and they've been successful, but I wonder how tolerant society will be to have things close again, which is why open them up strategically, safely, and slowly so that you don't have to close them again. Because I worry about our ability to close things in the future.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a concern that when we do go to stage 3, that there will be a spike in cases? Like today, we're reporting on a spa, I think in Kingston, that opened maybe a week or two ago, and they already have an outbreak, and including the owner, and now that business is shut down, and a ton of people will have to quarantine, maybe hundreds. So is there an idea of what could happen if we go to stage 3 and there is a spike in cases?
Right, that's a good example because Kingston was almost the golden child of the province in many ways. They had no active cases for days, if not weeks, and suddenly scores of cases. Due in large part, I think, to people entering the city to attend events there or activities there that weren't available in the other parts of the province. So the risk, of course, is that suddenly an influx of pent-up desire to socialize manifests as spikes in cases. That's obviously what the risk has to be. Um, it's unavoidable almost to observe some degree of heightened disease load. The question is, can that heightened disease load be kept to a minimum, or will it go to double digits, maybe even triple digits in a rapid succession? That's yet to be seen. I have faith that we can do this well. And we do this well via the deployment of strategic public health resources and the cooperation of the public. What resources? Proactive testing, active screening, contact tracing like we've never seen before, and the ability and the partnership with the citizens to agree to be quarantined. So I like the fact that in Edmonton, for example, there was a bar, I think, that found a couple of cases and they voluntarily closed down. Sounds like the spa has voluntarily closed down. So people are doing the responsible thing. I take away a lot from that, a lot of good that people, again, are partners in this endeavor. But I am worried, of course. You know, it's unavoidable to be worried. And it's important to get this done now in the summer when there's a bit of a safety margin. People can go outside where the transmission is less so. If we can get our plans in place, a new normal established by the fall, that helps us prepare for a second wave when everyone rushes back inside again, right? So it's important to get people understanding how mask wearing works, get people understanding how quickly this spreads, and get them used to physical distancing as part of their regular activities. We have a couple of months to pull that off.
So the province hasn't given an idea just yet of, so stage 3 will be able to have large gatherings, but there's no idea how large those gatherings can be. That may just be known the day that it happens, or maybe the coming days. So I guess, we don't know how big these gatherings could be. Do you have an idea, or do you have any suggestions of what you think it should be?
Well, right now, I think the bubbles are 10 people and the gatherings allowed are 20 people, if not incorrect.
Yeah, like depending on the service or situation,
That's
like
right.
we know weddings 50 people, but
Right.
then a reception 10 people. Some venues can have up to 30% capacity.
Yeah.
So it's kind of all over the place.
I don't think putting a numerical ceiling is a good way to do this. It's not scientific. It has to be based on a venue by venue basis and an event by event basis, and the ability to physically distance. Like a 30% capacity in a restaurant that has um, poor ability to actually space people out is not ideal. But if they've got excellent ability to, if it's a huge venue with a handful of tables, then 100% capacity is probably possible. So it's not so much the number of people, it's the ability to accommodate people that matters. I know that's a wishy-washy way of saying things, but I'm wary of these blanket easy metrics that people may take the wrong wisdom from, right? Especially since an outdoor event in which there's a lot of movement is different from an indoor event in which there's a lot of stationary activity, right? People sitting around in a park together, clustered, is not as safe as people walking by each other in a mall in some ways, right? So there's so many moving parts to this. It's difficult to give obvious guidance. I know that's the province's job here, but to answer your question overtly, there is no perfect number. I'm comfortable with keeping the cap the where it is.
And that makes sense. That's why when we do see these guidelines, they're maybe 10 pages long because it's industry specific, and I'm sure we'll find that out in the coming days. One thing we know that when stage three does happen, concerts and sporting events will not be allowed. Those will
That's right.
still be restricted. And that's probably, as you mentioned, just a cluster of people in the same kind of vicinity.
That's right. The signature of this disease is that it loves mass indoor gatherings, churches, concerts, nightclubs. If we can avoid those things, I think we've got a very good chance of avoiding a strong second wave. So these super spreading events like we saw in South Korea and places like that. So it's wise to ban those outright. I know that's troubling to some people to hear, but that's the price of opening up the things.
Okay, and Vera Etches had said she's hopeful that we could maybe reach stage three by the fall, which of course is the province's decision, but that's she's hoping for the fall. Do you have any predictions for the fall, maybe with the school year, with more people going back to work, or is there any kind of month that you're waiting for, or anything you're looking forward to?
It's funny that she says the fall. I would think that August would be a better target, only because it makes sense to take advantage of the warm summer weeks, right? So in the summertime, as we've seen, the having people outdoors, having better ventilation, and even having increased humidity diminishes transmission somewhat. So with that environment in place, we could take advantage of it to roll out some stage three events and to see how it manifests. Whereas in the fall, when things get a little more tense, when schools are open and are rushing back inside and the temperature starts to drop and the humidity starts to drop, maybe that's not the best time to consider opening up more things. So this isn't based just on one or two indicators. There's a host of metrics to consider. The epidemiology, we have two or three things we look at: the reproduction number, the percentage of tests that come back positive, the incident rate. Economically, there are other set of indicators: how much suffering there is, how much struggle there is, what can be tolerated. Psychologically, what do people tolerate? But also environmentally, what is going on climatologically, that can permit us to do certain things that we couldn't do in other times of the year. So I think it's a bit premature to make proclamations like that, but I think those are the factors that need to go into making this decision. It's not just based on one set of criteria, it's a host of things.
And how have you been doing with your field and just life in general?
Well, I'm on parental leave as of now, so I'm fine. And my field has never been as glorified as it is now. However, when this is all over, no one's going to thank us. So let's say we do everything well and a second wave is avoided or minimized. People are going to say we overreacted. Let's say this disease mutates into nothingness. People are going to say we overreacted. Let's say we fail and the second wave comes back harshly and decimates the population. People will say that we failed. No matter how you look at it, the
Yeah.
epidemiologists are not coming out looking good. So that's the price of what we do.
Well, you're appreciated, I can tell you that. Thank
Thank
you so much. I'll just end with your first and last name and your
you.
title.
Raywat Deonandan. I'm an epidemiologist and associate professor in the Faculty of Health Sciences, University of Ottawa.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.